There's no question that the McLaren P1 has blown the minds of everyone who's experienced it. But then again, how couldn't it? Its combination of a 3.8 litre twin turbocharged V8 and electric motor produces a combined 903 horsepower at 7,500 RPM and 664 pounds-foot at 4,000 RPM, and all that pushing just 1,395 kilos. And McLaren say it produces 600 kilos of downforce at 160 miles an hour when in its optimum race mode. When it was launched, they also said it would be the fastest supercar around a racetrack. Any racetrack. We're at Anglesey to experience the P1's mind-bending capabilities and to see just how fast this hypercar is compared to mere supercars against the watch.
So today is the day that I finally get to drive a McLaren P1. And I can't tell you how much I've been looking forward to driving this car, which has won the most hype and praise amongst everyone who's driven it. So I'm expecting really, really great things. Okay, it's an English summer's evening. We've got a racetrack to ourselves, and miraculously it's dry, which I'm really, really pleased about. We're at Anglesey. Now, this is sort of our new home circuit. It's absolutely gorgeous place, but we haven't lapped many cars around here. The quickest thing we've done is a Ferrari 458 Speciale. Ferrari turned up with 7 sets of tyres, engineers, race driver, etc. It was the best Speciale you could ever imagine, with the best prep, the best tyres, and all the time you could throw at it. This is a bit different. We're on slightly ragged tyres. We're on the P0 course and not the Trofeo, which are the really grippy tyre. And we've got about 3 laps just to have a go. So this is not an optimum lap, but it's a chance to feel what the P1's all about. Feel how much it moves the game on, even above something like a Speciale. So a quick reminder about this car. 3.8 V8 twin turbo, 760 odd horsepower plus the electric boost, so we've got 903 horsepower, pushing 1490, dripping wet. So this thing is fearsome, properly fearsome. It's also got a ton of downforce, monster Akebono carbon brakes, and it's got a track mode, which we're in, which lowers the car. It's not road legal. It gives it the ultimate aero setup. Let's just say it is designed for places like this. I'm just not sure I'm designed to drive a car as quickly as this thing wants to go. Okay, but before we get down to the lap time, what is this thing like? What does it do to your senses? When you get it on a track, you turn everything up and everything off. It blows your mind, I think it's fair to say. The performance is unbelievable. And there's so much grunt to unstick the tyres. And the crazy thing is that it does it on the exit of corners, 4 clear corners, and the tyres just keep spinning. It's really drivable, but you need to have your wits about you. It's a proper thing. So what's amazing, I guess, people have talked about the torque fill a lot, which stops any turbo lag. I have to say, still wait for the turbo sometimes. But the car is so drivable. You can just hoon it around. This is a little track. There you go, waiting for the turbo. And then they come in. Wah! It's just everything comes at you so quick in this car. It's got the quality and the controls that you can cope with it. Cope with oversteer or whatever it's doing. It's just wicked. It's absolutely wicked fun.
As you can tell, the P1 has the ability to make you feel like a superhero and is overwhelmingly exciting to drive quickly. Disappointments? Well, there aren't many. Although the engine note sounds amazing on video, inside the car you lose some of the V8's bassy anger and get lots of turbo flutter and whoosh instead. It's dramatic but somehow a bit industrial. And the torque field just hasn't quite got the grunt to completely mask the heavily turbocharged engine's delivery. But that a 903 horsepower hypercar is so drivable, so playful and so confidence-inspiring seems almost miraculous. So to the lap time, recorded before all the sideways stuff of course. The P1 feels sensational but, and I almost hesitate to say this, it doesn't quite have the grip I expected. Perhaps Anglesey isn't a fast enough track to feel the downforce truly come to life. Perhaps the P0 coursers couldn't quite deliver the response that the chassis and aero wanted. But the P1 pushed into understeer on turn-in on virtually every corner, even the long, fast right-hander that should have hinted at some of the true aero potential. In terms of corner speed, it edged the benchmark Ferrari 458 Speciale, but not by the margin you'd expect. Even so, braking later, carrying just a shade more speed and accelerating so much more quickly, it records a 112.6. 1.6 seconds faster than a Speciale with full technical support, a mountain of tyres to chew through, and 2 days to chip away at each sector. So the P1 sets a mighty time, but the real achievement with this car is that it's so much fun to drive on the circuit, and that it makes over 900 horsepower feel entirely exploitable. It is a breathtaking car. But I guess it's hard to judge that achievement without another hypercar to drive alongside it. Now if only we could find one.
Okay, so we're back. By brilliant coincidence, the very next day in the Porsche 918 Spyder. Same track, same conditions. And it's the same deal really. We've got no engineers here to help us. We've got one set of tyres. Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2, so a stickier tyre. But of course, on paper, the 918 should not be as quick as the McLaren. It's got 887 horsepower, plays 903, but crucially it's 1,634 kilos, this car with a bisac pack. So it is a chunky thing compared to the P1 or the LaFerrari. But Porsche has a habit of making its power go further. This car's of course four-wheel drive, it's got torque vectoring on the front axle. It's just a very clever car. But if that sounds clinical, don't for a minute think that it is, because the V8 screams and it sounds so much better than the P1. And the throttle response is better, despite that torque fill on this car. NA plus all that electric power, and it just got instant throttle response. So how does it feel on the track? Well, for a start it feels heavier than the P1, there's no doubt about that. There's more steering weight, you feel like you're sitting higher, the centre of gravity is higher. Of course it hasn't got the trick suspension that can lower it down for that race mode. But it feels fabulous, I love the engine, the gearbox is absolutely monstrous. The brakes are superb as well, these got regen, these brakes, the McLaren doesn't, but you barely notice it. Oh, it really is defined by the motor and the traction, and I'll tell you what, it feels every bit as fast as the P1, I don't care what the numbers say. It is a proper monster. And we're privileged to drive this on the launch, it was very controlled here. We can do what we want, which means quite a lot of that. And we can discover what the balance of this thing's like, and it's wicked. The four-wheel drive, you might think that sounds a little less exciting than something like the P1, but it's got real adjustability. got so much grunt, but you can still slide it 4th gear corners and it will slide on the exits. It's fun. It's fun, this car, and it's fun. Like I said, whatever the outcome, 2 absolutely fantastic cars. Totally different in feel. But created by people who just love cars, who love engineering, who love giving drivers the options to just play with the car. I love this. This is proper. This is proper.
So far from the poor relation in this new world of the hypercar, the 918 feels right on the pace. Its 4.6 litre V8 is so sharp, and when combined with a much bigger hit of electrical assistance than the P1, the result is incredible. Imagine the response of a 10 litre V8 in the low and mid ranges, but the scintillating top end of a high compression race engine with a rev limit of 9,000 RPM. Now add in the best twin clutch gearbox I've ever experienced, massive stability, total traction, and yet real adjustability, and the combination is, well, a massive headache for the lighter, more powerful McLaren. Out of nowhere, it records a 112.4, and it feels like there's much more time to come, given a few more sessions and a bit of tyre pressure tweaking. The 918 arrived on a truck with no technical support, no spare tyres, but Porsche was right to be confident. What a car. That's not quite the end of the story though. McLaren agreed with us that the P0 coursers can't quite live with the demands put upon them on track by the P1's sophisticated chassis and massive aero. So they delivered another P1 a few weeks later, this time fitted with P0 Trofeo R tyres. The weather was kind again and the P1 set another lap time, and this time it felt more like the car I'd read and heard so much about. Still exploitable, but now with so much more grip at the front and much improved traction too. Just check out the fury and control of this car at full noise. In the end, and on these super sticky tyres, the P1 decimates its previous lap time and that of the 918, setting a 1:11.2. Of course, this argument could go on forever and probably will, but having experienced these cars, the ultimate numbers somehow seem less important. They're intense, exciting, mind-scrambling and magnificent.
Man, it sounds so good.
More importantly, they immerse and involve the driver despite all the technology. They make 900 horsepower seem entirely reasonable, in fact. 918 or P1? Well, on the track, the McLaren edges it, but out on the road, the Porsche feels more exciting and more polished. I'd sell my soul to relive these days again and again. For once, the cliche is true. It really does not get any better than this. For more videos like this, subscribe to the Evo channel. If enough of you do, you never know, Ferrari might even agree to give us a LaFerrari to put round Anglesey too.